Welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to offer essential insights for anyone on a healing journey, especially those feeling lost amid their symptoms. Trauma can stem from various experiences, but the path to recovery and reconnection is universal. This is Claire Newman from New Possibilities, where we focus on the knowing that it is possible to move from surviving to thriving. Did you know trauma can deeply impact both the mind and body, often in ways we don't immediately recognise? But together, we will craft a safe, nurturing space for healing, transforming pain into growth and self-discovery. If this resonates with you, please subscribe, comment or share to help others on a similar journey. I really do hope that we can build a community where we support each other's healing. Your journey is important. My hope with these videos is to offer something of service, especially for those on a healing journey or in the middle of symptoms and they just don't know where to start. I can talk about, and I will talk about, what trauma is and how that comes about and the impacts of trauma. The most important thing to me is, what do we do about it? How do I recover from this? How do I move on from this? 1 in 4 children under the age of 16 will experience some form of child sex abuse, and the impacts of that is huge, both individually and as a society. For example, around 30% of people who experience any form of abuse before the age of 15 go on to experience physical or sexual violence by a partner later in life. So the effects ripple outwards. So I feel to do a series of how-to videos because not everyone can afford therapy or access therapy, whether that's down to cost, time, location, or they can only access that kind of short-term therapy through their healthcare provider. But really, this kind of relational trauma is a long-term project. To heal, we've got to cultivate that healthy, nourishing, loving, sustaining relationship with ourselves. And that takes time. Just like forming and sustaining a healthy marriage, it's an ongoing, evolving process. So I hope you stay for this video. The light's not great and there's mosquitoes all around me, but it's a beautiful day here or evening in Australia. So in prior videos, I've been unpacking some of those first steps of healing, and this is what I've used for myself. Using my clinical knowledge and personal experience, I've used it for a whole range of clients with really good results. Some of my clients have experienced the most horrific things. It's been like a horror movie for some, and others have discounted their abuse because it wasn't that bad, but it's all subjective. In prior videos, if you've not seen them, we've talked about starting our healing journey with a compelling reason why. And it's more than a compelling reason, it's actually a choice to heal. And when you make that choice, you're actually choosing yourself. You're reclaiming parts of yourself. It's making the actual decision that I am going to move through this by hook or by crook. That is what's going to happen. One of the reasons why making a choice is so important is because victims of abuse have had their boundaries violated. Something that occurred to them that was not their choice. Some people who've experienced something like CSA can interpret that they were a semi-willing participant. However, I would say you've been groomed. That grooming has occurred to convince you that this was either your fault, that you were to blame, that you even wanted it or instigated it, which is not true. Let me say it's not true. So especially for someone who's experienced that kind of violation like CSA or physical abuse, the boundaries have been broken, they've been violated, and your choice, your decision was taken away in that moment. So when we decide to heal, we're reversing that process. We're now making choices that serve our health, serve our growth, serve our evolution. We are deciding, we are taking that power back. We're working on that self-determination. And that's one of the pillars of self-esteem that I'll talk about in future videos. That self-determination is one of those very important pillars, crucial for healing. So we start with our aligning to that. That's the direction that I'm going. Don't know what that looks like. Don't know the final destination. But this is where I'm going, and you can check out the other video on attunement and alignment and energy. Now we're going to look at creating a healing cocoon. Just imagine you've really hurt your arm, perhaps it's broken, it's in a cast or a sling, and you're in the early stages of healing. Often we feel a little unsteady on our feet, a bit anxious because our arm is sore. So you're a bit apprehensive about having another accident or someone bumping into you, and you're feeling protective about yourself. You're very mindful of who's around you or who might be passing that might accidentally bump into you, and obviously that causes more pain. You're mindful of what's going on in your environment. You're mindful of where your arm is in relationship to other people, and you're protecting it. When a woman is pregnant, a healing cocoon happens in her gestation period. It's a very natural healing bubble co-created with the earth energies. I like to visualize that as a golden bubble around me. If we think of that as our physical home, and we've got the doors and the windows, and we lock those doors and windows and we decide who can come into the house or not. And that's up to us. We give our permission. If you've been physically abused, sexually abused, it's such a violation of this body, of this home. And of course, emotional, mental abuse, neglect affect us too, as we are much more than just our physical bodies. We have the emotional body, the mental body, and the soul, Buddhic bodies and beyond. So if we go back to that healing cocoon around us, we can imagine that as a golden bubble, just like having four walls of a house. This is the house, it's the boundary parameter. And I decide who comes in. The golden bubble is the same. It's holding that protective space around you, and you can visualize that. You can affirm that. And perhaps we can do that right now, just sitting and being. I'm seated within myself, wherever you are, on a chair, walking, driving. You can do it with your eyes open, with full attention, just seated in yourself with full presence of what's going on around you. I'm seated within this golden bubble of protection, my energetic safe space. It's a very natural thing that happens within healthy family systems. The father masculine energy holds a protective space around the home. And that's that energetic boundary perimeter that you take wherever you go. When I'm at work, driving, in the house, in the shopping centre, the space is there all the time. When a small child is out with a family, they're held in that parent's protective energy, and the parents are aware and attuned to what's happening in the environment, and they're ready to respond to any particular sort of danger or threat or opportunity for learning and growth. I like to set that healing cocoon with that affirmation, stating what I will and will not let into that cocoon. That golden bubble is semi-permeable. It's like the membrane of a cell. The good nutritious stuff can come in, but the cell doesn't receive anything else, and it can release anything, let go of anything that's not serving it anymore, that it no longer needs. Now that we have that golden bubble, we need to fill that space. So now, just for clarification, a woman has father masculine energy and vice versa, a man has feminine energy. As the masculine energy holds that protective space around the physical home, the feminine energy fills that space with the warmth and the nurture. Like, I'm sure you've walked into an actual house before and you just know, when that house feels like a home. It's got that tangible feel to it. It's not just about the cookies baking in the oven. There's this tangible feeling that's filled in that whole space, and you walk in and you just go, oh. I have that in my physical home. People who come to my home, they're just like, oh, gosh, I can relax. It's beautiful. And that's not just full of things. It's the beauty, the sacredness, and the warmth that I endeavor to fill that space with. It's how I'm nurturing that space, taking care of that, including this body. This is the primary home. Our vehicle is our home, and we take that home with us no matter where we go. So we want to fill that with a feeling, a vibe that's going to be conducive to healing. That's where the uniqueness comes in, because that feeling flavor could be different for everybody, and it does change, and it can change. Generally, there's some common ingredients that's going to be really helpful for healing, like the energy of sacredness. It feels so rare just to even say that. What is sacredness? For example, if you've experienced that form of violation or violence, even if it's not felt physically violent, but some boundary violation, you've not been treated like you're sacred. You've not been treated like you're precious. Your body has not been touched and seen as this sacred vessel and vehicle that it is. So if we want to heal, yet we have no concept or idea of how do we tap into something that we've never experienced before, what do we do? Where do we start? For me, I had to get creative. I was sitting there going, if I'm going to start on this healing journey, heal from my own CSA. So I looked back at the past and really pondered what I felt was lacking, what I ideally really wanted to experience and feel. What was that relational ingredient that I needed that I felt would have been beneficial but didn't get? I'm not blaming my family, as I know trauma passes down generations. They were doing the best that they could and doing what was done to them. But I want to be a circuit breaker. I asked myself, how do I do this? What do I need to fill this space up with? So I looked around in my life for inspiration and some people who came to me. There was one mentor and I asked, what do I feel when I'm working with that particular person? With that person, I felt safe, I felt seen, I felt held in this strong space. And I took some moments to tune in back to that attunement again. There was another mentor with this beautiful motherly energy, strong motherly energy, lioness, protective. She was a mother herself and I felt really seen. It was like, I see you, Claire. I see you as the indwelling soul that you are in human form. And I see the pain that's there, and both are okay. You will move through this. And the boss that I had at the time, really beautiful, professional, strong, intelligent, really wise woman who had such a lot of time and respect for me, and she championed me. She saw the best in me. I see you, I respect you, you're not your past. And then for me, like how I was with children, I've got a lot of experience working with children, and there are parts of myself that I really like how I am with babies. I can be incredibly soft and nurturing and extending of my own care and of my own heart, yet also very firm when needed and consistent with boundaries. I can be protective. So those are some really good ingredients to start with. It was like painting a picture with feeling. Paint with these feeling tones of different colours, just getting a real feel for it. And that is so important. It's not a head thing. Yeah, I use my head to ground a plan, to say to myself, I need to give myself a new experience. Like, how am I going to do that? I use my clinical training and knowledge there, but I'm going to start with filling up my home, that golden bubble with energy and qualities that are conducive to healing. I'm holding my safe space, embodied, here, now. Like asking myself every day, what does it feel like to be a nurturing, protective, championing, present mama of myself? What would that actually look like? What would that actually feel like? How would I actually even be during the day? So I'm going to start with that. That was my starting point. It's like a little breadcrumb leading you to the next breadcrumb. The next step I'll talk about another time was to invite anything within me that was suppressed, disconnected, disassociated, that was still in my energy matrix, but out of awareness. I knew there was stuff there from the reversal of symptoms, but I'd pushed a lot of feeling away. That was the very mechanism of trauma. It's disconnection. It's the mechanism of coping with trauma, is to disconnect from overwhelming feelings. So I wanted to invite that back home. How I look at this, because I have worked with very young children and in clinical practice in some really low socioeconomic areas in London, I looked at it as if I was a foster parent. If I'm going to be taking in some child or children, you don't often know their full background or story, but I'm pretty sure, that if they're coming to me needing to be taken away from their parental home, something has gone terribly wrong. It's not an easy thing for social services to take away a child from their family. So as a foster parent, I needed to give that child a new experience. And I'd understand as a foster parent that the child is going to have all kinds of feelings and internal experiences. They might be withdrawn, they might be physically present in the home, come and eat dinner and join in. But there's this sort of vacantness behind the eyes, there's that disconnection. They might isolate themselves physically, run away, hide or confine themselves to their room, might be aggressive, acting out, shouting, testing the boundaries. There's obviously going to be some untrustworthy feelings about you. They don't know you. You've not been with them through those experiences. So it would be my job as a foster parent to show up every day, fill that home with a sense of safety, security, consistent boundaries, also with the compassionate nurturing and understanding that I'm going to be there for that child. I'm going to stay the course through the testing times when those feelings are about to rise up. The foster child is going to test you. Are you going to be different? Are you going to stay? Why would they form an attachment to you until you've proven that you can stay? So that's where my commitment is. We come back to our commitment, our alignment, our attunement. I need to prove to myself that I have the ability to stay present, to witness, to receive, to experience those feelings that previously you weren't able to. You just didn't have the tools or a safe, significant other to help you as a 4, 5, 8, 14-year-old to deal with these big, overwhelming feelings. The very definition of trauma is from the Greek word, which means wound. It's not what happened to you that caused the wound, it's the actual wound itself. And that we carry within. It arises from within. So we can actually do something about that. We can now reconnect to what we've disconnected from, because that's part of myself sequestered away. So why do we want to go on this healing journey? Why do you want to stay with yourself? One of my reasons was, look, I've disconnected from parts of myself because I couldn't cope with it at the time, understandably. These parts are languishing behind. They're out of my awareness. And it would present when some outplay would occur. It's like having a child and you presume that child is at school and he's doing well. And then you get a call from the principal and you find out that they've been playing truant. You're shocked. Your reality model just crumbles. You had no idea that's been going on, or you've got no idea what's going on for them or what they're feeling. So that was my why. And I was going to be a really good foster parent to myself. So I may not know what's there because I've pushed it away, pushed it outside of my awareness, but it's my responsibility. Not my fault, but my responsibility. So I'm going to take care of that. And that starts with holding the masculine golden bubble of protection, filling that space up with the ingredients on a feeling level where we have a felt sense of it. Imagine being a foster parent and this foster kid walks into the home and it's cold. It's absent. There's no warmth. There's no emotion. There's no presence. That's not giving that child a new experience where it can eventually go and soften and breathe and relax into safety, like their nervous system can finally take an exhale. We need to bring that presence, because when we tap into that presence, that's the sense of the presence of who we truly, authentically are. It's the best of ourselves as a human being, and it's also the radiant soul, a higher truth of who we are, what we are. I wanted to bring that to myself and these parts that were languishing. The ingredients can be different for people. If you were never heard or never believed, maybe your ingredient is the presence of active listening, that feeling where someone's really paying attention and cares about what you're saying. Maybe you were acting out as a child and what you needed was a strong, steady boundary of the masculine that steadies that wayward, out of control, wild horse. And it's, whoa, calm it down, steady, you're better than that. I'm thinking of Good Will Hunting with that compassionate boundary. I see you, I see your gifts, and you're being a schmuck, so stop it. Maybe what you were seeking was a nurturing other, that mama's love. So those ingredients can change. It doesn't have to be perfect. There is literally no right or wrong to this. It's just getting a feel, a starting point, and experimenting. And of course it evolves along the healing journey. Just like how a child sometimes needs firm, consistent boundaries. Sometimes it needs a listening ear. Sometimes it's a deep acknowledgement or an apology. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I'm sorry that no one was there for you. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you back then, but I'm here now. Imagine the difference of a foster child coming into a warm home, and no matter what the energy, that space stayed consistent. That welcoming feel and safety stayed. Yet it would be nuanced and pivot depending on what was needed. Sometimes a bit more nurture, sometimes a bit more listening, sometimes a bit more boundaries, sometimes a bit more protection. How healing would that be? That's what we've got to do with ourselves. That's how we start both a healing process and building a relationship with more parts of ourselves. So every morning, make that decision to heal. Affirm your boundaries. No, I'm not listening to any rubbish, because remember, like a foster child coming into your home. Once it feels safe enough, it's going to unleash what's in its mind, how it feels about themselves, release those pent-up feelings. So that parent better be ready, attuned, understanding the task at hand. And in future videos, I'm going to talk about an emergency toolkit, which can be really useful in this stage of healing, when some of those defenses come down and deeper feelings emerge. So today I invite you to make that choice. Choose to hold yourself in this safety. Choose to show up for yourself no matter what. Healing's not about rushing to a final destination. It's about building a relationship with yourself that's rooted in that trust and that care and that self-respect. So if this video resonates with you, I encourage you to like, to subscribe, share it with those that you feel may need to hear this. And let's continue building this community of healing together. Remember, you're not broken, you are becoming. Or as we say spiritually, you are unbecoming. You're letting go of all that you are not. With each intentional step, you're moving from surviving to thriving. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and keep showing up for yourself.